disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use as a use permitted it by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I am Afro. Please do me a favor as you enter the room and hit the thumbs up button for me. I really appreciate it. Today's video we're going to talk about Skid Row explained. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Dark history for the Cecil Hotel.
Is there something evil going on here?
There's a neighborhood in Los Angeles that we need to talk about. It's called Skid Row. Last month, there was this really popular true crime documentary on Netflix. It was like the #1 most watched show here in the United States and maybe around the world. And it was about this hotel that was right here in Skid Row. It was about a 21-year-old Canadian woman who disappeared after exhibiting some very strange behavior in an elevator. And yes, there's going to be plenty of spoilers here.
The Hotel Cecil is haunted and it's got some sort of uncanny force.
The show is haunting and confusing and thrilling and an appalling and insensitive abuse of the power of documentary filmmaking. The whole series feels like a true crime documentary, but there ends up being no crime at all. And the whole energy of this series is founded on the idea that this hotel is haunted with dark energy.
I think that we're hoping for a ghost because it's what we've come to expect.
I'm here to tell you that the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles doesn't have dark energy. That's a tantalizing but very lazy explanation, and it exonerates the people and policies that built modern-day LA. Instead, there's a much bigger story here, one that the documentary decides to largely ignore or mischaracterize. The story worth telling here about this hotel and the neighborhood in which it resides is the story of how cities draw boundaries. These subtle borders that are meant to contain the city's least wanted people. Once you understand what this looks like and how it happened in LA, you can understand how it happens in a lot of cities. And it helps you understand what's really going on with the Cecil Hotel.
Now for starters, I want y'all to know that when I seen that it did go viral and I didn't believe it then, no more than I believe it now. I am not the type to believe in all of these weird, spooky things that's going on. So, I don't know. I just don't believe in stuff like that. I really don't. But, that's no here or there, I guess. Anyways, back to the video.
Story of a city and a microcosm of the American dream.
Okay, first, let's establish what and where the Cecil Hotel is in LA. Here's downtown LA, and you have this financial district here with all these big buildings. A few streets over, you have the Cecil Hotel, right on the border of this 50-city block neighborhood called Skid Row, right in the heart of downtown LA. Go to Skid Row today and you are quickly brought into the plight of basic survival for nearly 5,000 homeless people.
The reason why there's so many tents out here is because people can't afford to live in a house.
Nearly half of them are considered to have serious mental illness, and life expectancy here is 48 years old, 30 years less than the US average. This small block of streets is surrounded by highly developed districts that every year become more shiny and more expensive. So how did Skid Row, this one small block of downtown, become where so many of the city's sick and marginalized gathered? Way back when California was first taken from Mexico to become part of the United States, loads of Americans were moving west, moving to California. Some of them were looking for gold.
Okay, did I hear that right? Did he say that California was taken from Mexico? Did I hear that right? Hmm, interesting. Back to the video.
And some were just looking for a new start. The US used to be really good at railroads, and they built a railroad across the entire country. That railroad ended right here in LA, right in the location of modern-day Skid Row.
There is probably no single area holding so much of charm and beauty and the good things of life as Southern California.
So you have a lot of people arriving around this train station looking for work. This area developed a reputation as being full of transient people coming to the West with dreams of gold and a new start, and instead ending up with neither. No jobs, no homes. It was a part of town that no one wanted to go.
Los Angeles counties has a gregarious fun zone where everybody has a good time.
As LA grew, so did the bad reputation of Skid Row, and so did the homeless population. The neighborhood was sort of for the untouchables, and when anyone considered helping them or figuring out a policy to solve this, people resisted. One columnist of the day wrote, quote, "Don't help this class. It is a crime against the community to do so." The Cecil Hotel was eventually constructed in the 1920s, right here on the outskirts of what was becoming this undesirable part of town. At the time, it was a grand hotel, built for business travelers. What turned the Cecil Hotel from this to this wasn't dark energy or mysterious forces, nor was it the fact that U2 played a concert on the roof right next to the Cecil Hotel in the late 80s. No. What happened to the Cecil Hotel is something that happened to this whole neighborhood starting in the 1970s. When city planners and politicians started re-envisioning downtown LA, drawing lines on maps to contain the growing population of mentally ill and homeless. The goal here was to bulldoze all the decaying buildings in downtown and to make way for a new business district full of tall, shiny buildings. The original demolition plan included Skid Row, but the community leaders fought back, saying, "Listen, City of LA, if you demolish Skid Row without solving the underlying issues, you're just going to have a bunch of smaller Skid Rows pop up scattered throughout the city. Homelessness isn't going to go away if you just bulldoze the neighborhood." The city was like, "Yeah, you have a point." So they agreed upon setting firm borders that would be the quote containment zone, where the homeless and mentally ill could stay so that the surrounding neighborhoods could build nice big office buildings without the presence of these undesirable populations. Within Skid Row, they constructed public bathrooms and benches and public spaces so that, as the city officials said, those amenities could, quote, act as a magnet to hold the undesirable population elements in Skid Row. Undesirable population elements. Wow. That is just a fantastic way to take human beings and turn them into units. It's so weird. Even though the borders of Skid Row
Okay, so what they did was, instead of helping the people on Skid Row, okay, they built this border around it, kept Skid Row. These people are still able to stay there, but they contained them there so that they can build better buildings, pretty buildings. And by them building these pretty buildings, if they're allowing people to stay on Skid Row, then that means the people on Skid Row won't be living on the streets in front of these nicely built buildings in, companies and stuff like that. Is that what they're saying? So you would rather have people homeless on the streets than to help them. Just so you can have your beautiful buildings, which is going to be expensive as all hell, right? So is buildings before people? Is building before health and safety? Got it. Back to the video.
based on the city plan were not like walls, they were just city streets. But the city planners made sure that they would have, quote, strong edges that will act as a buffer between Skid Row and the rest of the central city. They promised that when Skid Row residents enter the buffer, the psychological comfort of the familiar Skid Row environment will be lost. So how did they do this? One way they did this is with harsh lighting. Back in the old days, they had these historic lights on Main Street, which is one of the borders of Skid Row. They replaced those with like harsh prison lights to make it very just unpleasant to walk across the street. They put locks on the trash cans in the surrounding districts so people wouldn't leave Skid Row to come scavenge for food. Residents of Skid Row also reported that police officers would be patrolling these borders, and anytime someone would cross, they would be approached. Yet they would be left alone for a time if they stayed peaceful within the containment zone. All of this happened throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s as rent prices started to go up all throughout this area. So rent is getting more expensive. At the same time, funding for mental health.
This sounds almost like containing animals in a zoo. Y'all do understand these are human beings, right? But you have them contained in a spot as if they're animals. I don't understand. Back to the video.
Health institutions was drying up, and the war on drugs propagated by the Reagan administration was also heating up. Skid Row literally became a dumping grounds for mental health institutions who would drop off patients right here, knowing that they would be contained. The idea of saving Skid Row by drawing borders around it came from the community leaders of Skid Row itself. It was a solution to keep affordable housing, keep the community intact, but soon this solution was used as an excuse to neglect the people within these lines. Street cleaners and trash collectors came less frequently than in the rest of LA. City maintenance for streets sort of stopped showing up. But the one city resource that did show up in abundance was the police, whose job it was to keep these, quote, undesirable population elements within this zone, criminalizing the poverty inside these lines. And yes, here's the Cecil Hotel, right within these firm containment borders. So if you look at the Cecil Hotel under this lens, you now see the danger, the drugs, the violence, not being caused by some creepy dark energy that lured in this woman from Canada. Instead, this was the result of a policy, intentionally creating borders within the city to keep the city's problems contained into one area. A spot that had real culture and community values and history. And yet because of these dehumanizing policies, Skid Row became defined as a series of statistics and social problems. What I've found by looking into these policies is that this wasn't an inevitable course of action. The city could have put its money and effort behind the harder thing to do, which is addressing the underlying issues of unemployment, mental illness, drug addiction, and unaffordable housing stock. And yet the policy they pursued was fixing this problem with a band-aid, using policing and the power of redevelopment. The real problems were swept under the rug to be dealt with another day, keeping the city's problems contained neatly in this border and hiding them from view. So let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, which is a thing that has let me watch a bunch more stuff on Netflix that I wouldn't be able to watch otherwise. ExpressVPN is a very affordable way to not only protect your anonymity while you are on the internet, but also allows you to expand your entertainment options. Basically what a VPN is it allows you to connect to the internet, but like via a different country. So like I'm in the US, but I can like connect via Canada or the UK or India. And now the internet thinks that I'm in those countries. But also it allows you to expand the stuff you're watching. Like a show like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, for example. Like I can watch stuff that's only available in Canada here in the United States, which is pretty cool. The crazy thing about this though is that it's really cheap. Like it's very affordable. and you can actually get 3 months of this for free, so you can test it out and check it out. I've been using ExpressVPN since probably 2016, and I find it to be a very useful and easy service. One thing I use ExpressVPN for a lot is when I travel and I'm in a different country, and I don't want the internet to think that I'm in that country, because then it locks me out of my Gmail account and all of that. I haven't been traveling for a while, but I'm gonna be starting soon. I just got vaccinated. So ExpressVPN is a fantastic way to keep my internet connection here in the United States while I'm traveling. There's a link in my description. When you click that link, it helps support this channel, but also click that link to find out how you can get 3 months for free, zero money, of ExpressVPN, so you can start getting in on some of these benefits. Thank you, ExpressVPN, for sponsoring this channel. Thank you all for watching. Lots more to come. I have been all over the place when it comes to topics. I feel like it's been Russia, a lot of Russia. I'm fascinated with Russia lately. It's been Janet Jackson. It's been the US military, Skid Row. I'm all over the place. I've got a really big story coming out early next month that I'm excited to share with you. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Okay, so y'all probably wondering why I played that all the way through. Well, that's because I didn't know that was gonna be, part of the end. Because I don't watch these reaction videos ahead of time. Because I want that authentic reaction to them, watching them for the first time. So yeah, the only thing I have to say here too is that this is the part that I be talking about, right? You have all of these people here in the United States that need help, and they're not getting it. The government is not helping, but yet you want to pour thousands and thousands of immigrants here and help them when they're not even from here. They're from their own country, and you don't even want to help your own people who are from this country. I think that's really sad. I think it's sad to see our American people homeless on the streets like this. So that includes this video. Thank you everyone for stopping through. Don't forget to like and share this video and leave me a comment after this video. I really appreciate it. So until next time, everybody, please stay safe. Peace. Afro Goddess is out.